Hi, hello tribe. I think before I start, I should just start with an apology for pulling this disappearing act on you. I am really, really sorry, guys. It has been a hectic couple of weeks. Ever since the last episode that I did, it has really been a hectic couple of weeks. I don't know, this month since it began up to where we are, I have just had a certain amount of being emotionally drained, and I can't really put my finger on what exactly is making me to be like this. I cannot put my finger on it, but I've been trying to pull myself together, and I think I'm like great. And it's not like emotionally drained that I am stressed about something. I just don't have the zeal to do certain things that I used to find joy in doing. But I'm back to being amazing. Please don't come at me with you could be depressed, because yes, I have read all the depression thingies, and no, it's not it. That's not it. So starting off this week on a high, like I was feeling so mentally low to an extent that one Saturday, I think the second Saturday, or is it the third? I think the second Saturday, I was actually almost like suffocating myself. It was insane. I had gotten home, I was warming my food, I ended up sleeping on the couch. The food ended up burning in the cooking pot. The house was filled with smoke. Like I don't know. I woke up, I was so scared, ended up sleeping hungry. The next day when I went to work, because me I usually work through my weekends, I was so hungry because I didn't eat the previous night. I didn't eat when I woke up. Like I was just still so shunned. But anyway, but then, I think the good thing also, and it's also a bad thing, is that I never intended for this podcast to be a weekly podcast. I feel like I am personally not there yet. I'm not at that point where I want to put all that pressure on myself of making it a weekly vlog, a weekly podcast, because the amount of research that I personally do before coming up with an episode or before recording an episode is just too much for me to put on that pressure on myself for making it a weekly podcast. Anyway, thank you for being patient. Thank you to the ones who came to my inbox and were asking me how where I'm at with the podcast, why they're not listening to new episodes. I just want to thank all of you for being there. Yeah. So, getting straight into it, I've been researching on this topic for quite some time now, even in as much as I was on a mental exhaustion state. I was still doing research on this, and the topic is basically sibling relationship. What is your relationship with your siblings? I feel like this topic is not talked about enough, and it plays a major role in how we live our lives. So I want first to discuss about my relationship with my siblings before I get into what research I got. So I am the last born I'm the last born in a family of 4. I have 2 brothers and I have a sister. That is in my mom's family, because you guys remember in the previous post I talked about which was understanding my grief, and I told you guys that I have a stepmom and I have 3 younger brothers. So in my farm, in my half, in my mother's half of the family, I am the last born. But in total, I am the fourth born because I have three younger, cute, sometimes annoying, but I always love them, brothers. And growing up, my dad used to make sure that we go to church together as siblings. We didn't used to play together as much, but we were under the same roof, and there were certain things that my dad used to make sure we do together. Especially for me and my brother, we used to do a lot of, like, we went to church together with my dad. We used to be in those church groups. Those church groups for young people, and I feel like that played a role in how me and my brother relate. I cannot say that we are best friends close, but then I can also not say that we are sibling close. What do I mean by best friend close and sibling close? So best friend close, I mean someone who you can call and just start telling them about how maybe hectic your day is, how you're having a challenge maybe making a decision on certain things, and maybe you need an insight to them. And sibling close is basically when you're calling maybe your sibling to just ask them about something that's happening at home. That's what I feel like a sibling close is, where basically your conversation is just home related. That's not me and my brother. Like, we are in neither of these categories that I am the one who formulated. We are more than sibling close because I do tell him about certain aspects of my day. Like, if I am unwell, I will call my brother and I'll be like, hey, I'm not going to work, I'm unwell, because one, we don't live together. He lives in a different county, close to Nairobi, because he commutes on a daily, but it's still a different county, and I live in Nairobi. It's funny, but then it's not funny because Nairobi is expensive. Anyway, back to the topic. And we do talk about more other things other than, you have talked to dad, he said blah 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 blah, or I've talked to one of our kid brothers and they've said da 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 da. Our relationship goes beyond home conversation, but it's also not best friend relationship where I can tell him about how my day was, what's annoying me at work, and all that. Would I say I am close with my brother? Definitely, 100%. He is the one person who, if I am in a sticky situation, I will automatically think about calling him. I'll just be like, bro, 1, 2, 3, 4 is happening and I need your help. Be it financial help, be it like, I will definitely call him, especially if it's a situation where I know my brother can really come through. I will definitely call him. But then with my other siblings, it's not as close. We do talk once in a while, but majorly our conversations just revolve around home stuff. I do talk to my sister. Yeah. Okay, my sister is like 10 years older than me. She does not look any bit of her age. Woo-hoo. And there was a time when we were close, but I feel like certain things changed in our lives individually that kind of derailed that closeness that we did have. Yeah, so I'm not as close to my other two siblings as I am with my bro. My other two elder siblings as I am with my bro. With my younger siblings, we are close. Like, we make jokes, we will laugh together. We won't call each other on a weekly basis because they are still in school. But when we are like together, it's like we're just friends hanging out, chilling. We'll tell each other jokes. We'll tell each other stories about things that happened while the other one was not there. We will recall all the crazy things we have done in our past. And that's just how I relate with my siblings. So part of what I think contributed to how I relate with all of my siblings is how my dad raised us. My dad definitely played a role in how we relate because, as I said, my dad never has a favorite child. You're never going to know who is my dad's favorite. He always treats us equally, always gives us the same amount of tasks to be done around the house. Like, everyone in my dad's house has a chore. You are all going to wake up at the same time. No one is still going to remain in bed and I don't know what. Whoever feels like going out and chilling with the friends will do that. Whoever feels like staying at home will do that. And I feel like that aspect of raising us as an equal group made us not to have that aspect of feeling as if you're better than someone else, or feeling as if you're more special. Special and better than is the same thing. I don't know why I have separated these two statements, but I feel like that really played a role. And now I understand why some parents, or most parents, will never reveal who their favorite child is. I feel like it's because they don't want it out in the universe. Because once you speak it, there's just something about speaking things and them being out in the universe that can go well and can also not go well with equal measure. So I kind of understand that. Another thing that I think played a role in how I relate with my siblings is our age gap. Like, for example, like me and my sister, we are 10 years apart. Like, those are two different generations. Whatever I find exciting in my age, number one, she has already outgrown it. She was there, she has done it, she moved on to the next. So if I am all excited and I'm like, yay, finally doing this, she'll be like, yeah, been there, done that. If it's maybe something that's going to make me regret the choice that I've made, she'd be like, no, don't do it, I've done it, and like this. So she kind of used to kill the vibe on like things that I would do. I remember back in high school, I was like, I loved participating in activities. I was in music club, I was in basketball club, I was in journalism, I was in debate, like I was in so many clubs. And I remember my sister would be like, oh, I was also in all those clubs. And I'm telling you the truth, they don't help you once you come out of school. They just, those certificates, they don't do anything for you. They just waste your time. And I'm like, why are you spoiling it for me? Why are you ruining it for me? Like, let me live it, you know? Even if you're trying to create a teachable moment, do that, but don't spoil whatever I'm having fun with, you know? And I feel like that also led up to, even in my adult years, not letting my sister in most of the things that I do. Oh my God, she's going to listen to this podcast and she's going to text me, sister, please don't text me, just let this just be a podcast. I'm not ready to have this conversation, okay? Anyway, I feel like that also played a role in how I relate to my sister, because you'd expect in a family where you're just two sisters, you'd be like, yeah, super close and all that. And yeah, I'm never uncomfortable around my sister. It's just that as compared to my brother, I'm more close to him. My eldest brother, we are not close simply because of the age gap. We do not have the same friends. We have nothing in common other than the fact that we are siblings. Yeah. For example, while I was still in Primo, my eldest brother was already in uni. Do you see that difference? I think my eldest brother was already in uni when I was in class 5, class 4. So there really is not much of a conversation. But then I usually see that he's closer to my sister. It's like we have in one way or another, it's like we each have a best friend in the farm. And I feel like that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. My sister is more closer to my eldest brother. I am more closer to my youngest brother. And it's a vibe. It's a vibe. It works for us. So for us, I think the whole age thing and the whole how we were raised thing really played a role. But then for my younger brothers, they are more close together. And it's because when it comes to them, then they don't have that much age difference amongst each other. And then they're all still just like kids. They're all still growing up together. And whenever I'm like at home with them, I can see it. I can see how they relate. I can see how they like have that back and forth banter. And it's nice. And it's so nice to see that my dad is also not playing favorites with any of the three. He's also just treating them equally as he has us. And that's a good thing, I feel. So, enough about me. Let me get to my findings. And of course, I went to Reddit. I love Reddit so much, especially when it comes to having discussions or asking questions where you need an insight to. Like, people here give it as it is. It's not like Twitter. Twitter is just people full of karma, and I'm on Twitter and I love it. But in Reddit, you get the best of both worlds. You get the people who have the karma, and you get the people who are like, no, like, you need to chill out. This is da 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 da. So this is how I asked the question on Reddit. The topic was sibling relationship, of course. And this is how I asked the question. What is your relationship with your siblings? Are you close, like best friends close, or just interact on sibling basis? That's the first bit of the question. The second bit was, what do you think played a factor in the relationship you have with them? So the post had a total of 88 comments, 93% upvote rate, 9.6k total views, and I'm going to get to what certain people shared. So the first person, and of course I'm not going to reveal the AKAs that people are using. This question, first of all, I posted it 8 days ago. Wow. Anyway, the first person said, and the first person is a she, struggling. We are two girls biologically and a female cousin who's grown up in our household. I am closer to my sister cousin than my elder sister. She's the typical African-raised firstborn who was forced to raise and parent her sibling. Therefore, the relationship is not so good. Our age gap is 5 years. Sibling rivalry to date is as it was in 2005 boarding school. She was my dad's favorite, and to date, I struggle having a good relationship with Mzee. September this year, she kicked me out of her house and car because for once I couldn't entertain her attitude, and it was all new to her. She was used to the quiet, obedient, and submissive little girl that she knew. So projecting my anger towards her got her mad. So that's her story of how she relates with her sister. So she goes ahead and tells me why she feels the relationship with her sister is like that. Now, the first point she says is sibling relationship in our era has been ruined by our parents making our elder siblings deputy parents, denying them the right to be a child at a young age. Number 2, favoritism. Parents having favorite children and making the others feel less loved. Number 3, upbringing. Being raised by a strict and controlling parent and ending up being a pleaser. I struggled awfully with this. I never wanted to be on the wrong, and I was always pleasing people and letting them control, use, and bully me. So I feel like I will read a couple of the responses and then I get to thoughts that I deduced from what people shared. Another person says, the time shit got rough with my overly entitled sister was when my parents said they couldn't come to my visiting day because my sister's visiting day was the next day after mine, and that I should suck it up as a man, they will send cash. Ellipsis, I died that day. Wow. Like, you guys have really been through it. I can't even imagine. So here is another one. She said, my sister and I are thick as thieves. She's my best friend. I am the oldest, age difference 4 years, but we treat each other like peers. We literally do everything together, live together too. She graduated earlier this year, but hasn't gotten a job yet, so I'm still taking care of us. We tell each other everything. Our mom raised us to always look out for each other, wouldn't let us go to the shops without each other. I am older than you, so shudder in my presence is non-existent. We fight, but rarely, and when we do, it's respectful. I love her insanely. I wish every day I would spend my money to cater for my needs only, but I'd rather take care of both of us than live without her. So another one said, my siblings and I are like oil and water. We don't mix, only greetings. The factor that I think has contributed to that is age difference. I am 25, the sibling I follow is 39 years. Very different generations. Another one says, you and me are the same. Older sibling is 40, got a scholarship to Maju nikiwa pre-unit. We don't really have a relationship, but have phone calls every once in a blue moon. Lol. Sometimes I genuinely even forget I have a sibling because I only get to see them once a year. Another one makes a joke and he's like laughing and saying, at least you make phone calls. I don't even have a brother's contact. And I was like, wow, you don't have your brother's number? Like, wow. Another one says, with younger siblings, transactional. I am the ATM. They call when they need something. When I call, it's like I'm wasting their precious time. Conversations can't go beyond 5 minutes. With older siblings, very close, like best friends. I got their back, they got mine. So, never goes on to tell me why he feels that the relationship with the younger siblings are transactional, or why the relationships with the older siblings are close. So, another one says, I honestly love them, but talking, we don't talk much. They never call or even visit, but I do. If life gives me a chance to get a job, if life gives me a chance to get a job and make some good cash, I plan on buying a big piece of land, iwagawiwe kila mtu akwe na mahali pa kujenga, because only one owns a piece of land and doesn't care about the rest. When my job ended When my job ended in 2017, I ended up staying in unfinished buildings when one had a 3-room house and living alone. I had here told a cousin itabidi nijisort, yeye hawezi host mtu, so I didn't even try asking for accommodation. I believe the issue is we weren't raised that well, weren't taught that family came first and stuff. But I do believe I'm creating a different environment. I also guess we love each other in our own way, though I wish it was more intentional. So this person got a reply. I'm going to read the reply that this person said. Nah, you are effed. Your feelings will, and I repeat, will never be reciprocated. It's high time you change your thought process. Here's the last one. I'm going to read the last one. I have an older sibling. We still talk and laugh on the phone, but honestly, I never feel like I miss her at all. We grew up fighting a lot, and her disrespecting me in the past completely changed how I view her. I know she feels the same way about me. To people with a small sibling, please treat them well. They're still young. That relationship will go a long way. Okay, I promise you, this is the last one that I'm reading, and then I get to, my thoughts. I have 3 siblings, 2 sisters, and 1 brother. Guess who's the favorite child? If you guessed my brother, you get a cookie. We live with a narcissist and abusive parent, so you know that we only have each other to rely on for support. Unfortunately, my brother doesn't fully see our mother for who she is, so we aren't that close to each other. My 2 elder sisters are my best friends. They are my rocks, my hype men, my trauma buddies. We went and are still going through the same mistreatment and abuse for our mother, who basically turned all of us into maids and nannies for both her and her precious son. So we understand each other's feelings perfectly. They have supported me in a way my mom has never, could never, and will never do. And I love them so freaking much. I love my brother dearly, but I am not as close to him as my sisters. We do have nice conversations from time to time, but he's not the shoulder I would cry on when I have breakdowns or panic attacks. I am sad that my mom has put this sort of resentment and rift among us siblings, and I wish we had a much closer bond with our brother, but the favoritism and mistreatment have just prevented that from happening, which I don't fault my brother for. And the comments keep on going and going and going. Like there are 88 comments, guys. I cannot read all of them. So I think going through these comments, there are certain common factors. There are so many common factors among these comments as to what has contributed to how we all relate to our siblings. And I feel like the first thing is upbringing. How were you brought up with your siblings? Was it a situation where your parents raised you all as equals, in that there is no one who is more favored than the other? There's no one who is treated as being more superior than the other. I don't know why I keep separating favoritism and superiority. And they're the same thing, but I don't speak them as such. Or has your parent made one of you a deputy parent? Or how strict are your parents? Because I find that parents who are extremely strict during someone's childhood, as a trauma response, the child ends up being such a people pleaser. Because you were raised with an extremely strict parent, so you were brought up with that part of saying yes to things, so that they can just the whole thing can just die down, or being perfect in certain aspects of your life. And I say this because whenever you have an extremely strict parent and this parent is constantly wants you to be a particular way because you don't want to get into a whole argument with your parent, or you just don't feel like having that confrontation, you end up bending to what your parent wants you to do and not what you want to do. And this affects you even in your adult life, where now you have this past trauma of having a strict parent, and now the trauma response to that is that you end up becoming a people pleaser. If you are in a group setting and the group is like, let's go have pizza, and maybe you felt like having a burger, you now end up bending to what the group wants, which is going to have pizza, but then you wanted burger. But because you don't want it to seem as if you're trying to create conflict, you please them. If maybe like just the very tiniest of things, that's what I've learned, can be an indication of a trauma response. Favoritism is also something that is common among these stories, especially on the stories where the relationship between siblings is really broken down. Favoritism, parents favoring one child over the other, or favoring two child, like just favoring a child over another one, is another factor that is really contributing to how sibling relationships are formed, because we never forget certain aspects in our childhood, especially if those aspects played a major role in shaping the people who we become in our adult life. And if you grew up in a family where someone was being favored over the other, that is not something you can forget. And it goes a long way, even in how the relationship is formed. Because you will feel like there are certain things that you cannot tell your sibling, maybe for fear of your sibling going back to tell on you to your parents, or you just don't feel like you can relate to your sibling, especially in that from the commenter who said that they are 3 and very close to the sisters but not as close to the brother because of the fact that the mother turned the 3 of them to be nannies and deputy parents, while their brother experienced the good side of their mom. It really plays a role. It's like, just treat all your kids, like just know in your heart of hearts who your favorite child is. I feel like we should borrow a leaf from Kris Jenner. She was once asked in an interview, who is your favorite child? And her response was, I feel like that was like the best response. She said her favorite child is different on different days. There are days when Chloe is her favorite child. There are days when Kim is her favorite child. There are days when Courtney is her favorite child. She said it goes with the mood and maybe what that child has done on that particular day, but she loves all her children the same. The favoring part is what changes depending on the days and the mood. And I feel like that is a good thing, because on Monday you wake up and you're seeing Kim being treated specially and you're like, it's your day, it's gonna be my day soon. And I just feel like it also creates nice banter between you and your siblings. So the other thing is making a sibling a deputy parent. There is that aspect of helping back at home, like throwing in a helping hand at home, but being made a deputy parent is making your siblings answerable to you. And first of all, I really want to apologize. I can't even begin to imagine the depth that the so-called deputy parents feel. Because basically, you are ripped of your childhood. You are not allowed to be a child. You could not play whether your fellow age mates or age group are playing. You probably couldn't do what other kids your age were doing. And that, to some extent, turned you, or could have turned your emotions off, and made you grow up with a lot of resentment. To that point where you feel like you should listen to me because I know what's best. Let children be. Please, if I have mothers and I have fathers who are listening to this podcast, let children be. Let children grow up as they should. Yeah, so that was the episode. Thank you so much for listening to the end, and I think I'm now going to try to develop a form of consistency on this podcast. Yeah, I think, I'm not promising, I'm saying I think I'm going to try and develop a certain form of consistency on the podcast. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you have a thought, or maybe something that you would like to add on to this, don't shy away. Drop it in the comment section. You can drop it on my IG page, that is Cut the Monologue. I'm actually on all social media platforms apart from Twitter. You can follow Cut the Monologue on Instagram, and you can also follow Cut the Monologue on TikTok. But until next time, I just want to give you all huge imaginary hugs for the love, the support that you have given me. Thank you very much, and goodbye. Mwah.